I hope you can see the screen over here. So we'll start with the last session from where we have stopped. So in the last session, we had stopped at the exit markings. So each doorway or the passage along with the exit access could be mistaken for an exit, but must be marked not an exit if it is not a emergency exit. As I've told in different levels, if we have continuation of the exits in different levels, the one that is going to the exit discharge need to be marked for the exit, and others should be marked for no exit. Then here is the emergency action plan. This emergency action plan describes the action that must be taken to ensure the employee safety in emergencies. So here you can see different types of markings over here and people and other discharge areas that is given. This includes the floor plan or the map which shows emergency escape routes. So here you can see in this plan, you have the assembly area and the exit is shown very clearly. Covers reasonable expected emergencies such as fire, explosion, toxic chemical releases, or the natural calamities. All, whatever the cause may be, the exit marking should be clearly shown floor-wise if you are in a multi-floor building. Then fire prevention plan. Now in this fire prevention plan, you have a list of major fire hazards and handling storage and procedure control. And the name of the people who are responsible for maintaining of the equipment or the system or the ignition of the fires. Now this responsible person for the maintenance of the equipment can be a third party. If whatever the situation may be, whether internal done by us or it is by given contract to the third party, whoever it is, the names of those person who are responsible for maintaining the equipment should be clearly shown and mentioned. Then the name or the job titles of the person who is responsible for the control of fuel. That is the stores or whoever the person who is responsible to discharge the fuel into the area is to be, his name is also to be prompted. Training of all the employees who have responsibility in the plan. That means this is the emergency response team. You have two teams, team A and team B. Team A and team B, two teams, because if one team fails or if someone is absent from one team, then team B can take over that responsibility. So usually we have two types of teams, and the name of all those people who are in the part of the emergency responsible team has to be mentioned clearly. Then portable fire extinguisher. If portable fire extinguisher are provided by employee, the employer must mount, locate, and identify so that the worker can access them without subjecting themselves to possible injury. So here you can see the fire extinguisher label is very clear, but the fire extinguisher is enclosed with other types of material over here. Such things should not be done for emergency firefighting equipment. Now, can anyone tell what is the minimum height of fire extinguisher for 2 kgs? What is the minimum height and maximum height?
కొంచెం అర్జెంట్ అయింది మరి
2 kgs కానీ 4 kgs ఫైర్ ఎక్స్టింగ్విషర్ ఒకవేళ ఉన్నట్టయితే మినిమం హైట్ మాక్సిమం హైట్ ఎంత ఉంటుంది? ఎంత ఉండాలి?
నువ్వు ఎంతలో నేను ఆశ్చర్య పడుకుని పెట్టుకుని నేను ఎక్కడ సెల్ ఆయన వెళ్ళాడు.
సార్ కొంచెం మీరే అందరు మైకులు మ్యూట్ లో పెట్టేసండి సార్ హోస్ట్ గా.
Can anyone guess what is the minimum height of fire extinguishers?
Meter to 1.5 meters, sir.
5 feet, sir.
Okay, in that case, we'll go forward. Now here, as in the last class, I had told that you can use siren or hooters to transmit the message of emergencies. Now here, this is the I have taken from Moses standards. Now here, the siren and their meaning. So we have usually 3 types of siren. In case you have a very big area of construction work where it is difficult to pass on the vocal or the through mic, then we use usually sirens. Now here, alert, prepare to seek the shelter, say a series of short blasts. Now here you can see, you have the short blast here with a time interval. So this, if you hear the siren of short blast, that means this signal, the purpose of this signal is that there is an existence of potential emergency, whichever area that is affected. Then what is the action that is to be taken? The first thing is all the work permits will be cancelled. Then when the signal is sounded, take action according to the unit emergency plan or the work permit. Now here, this unit emergency plan, if you have a big manufacturing unit or a construction site, if you have different departments and emergency is one particular department, then according to that particular department, whatever the emergency plan is, we need to follow. Then all the personnel in the block where the signal is given determine the reason for the alert action. Or if whoever that unit is, they should know what is the purpose of this horn. Then they should be prepared to seek the shelter, PPs, or evacuate according to the unit emergency plan if ordered. Then second case, if we have the signal for evacuation is a series of 3 short blasts. So here I've just given the symbol here. You have 3 short blasts with a short time interval. In that case, the purpose of this particular siren is all the persons are essential to the plant operations under the emergency conditions must evacuate. Even though you have temporary employees working over there, even those temporary workers or the contract workers should be evacuated from that particular area. Now, in case of this siren for emergency is there for evacuation, then what is the meaning of that? It cancels all the work permits, shut down all maintenance and construction equipment. Then when this signal is sounded, go to proper assembly point away from the problem area. Now this away from the problem area, if we have gas leak or something, then depending upon the wind direction and the availability of your assembly point, you need to go to that particular area. Then all the work permit will be cancelled. That we have already spoken. Evacuated personnel should remain clear of the area until the authorized is to return. That means all the head count will be done at the assembly point. So the evacuated person has to be present for the head count. Then how do we say it's clear? So for all clear, you have 3 long blasts. Now here you have the representation of these 3 long blasts with the short intervals. Now the purpose of this, the emergency situation has ended and all the persons should return to their work areas. Now what is the action that is to be taken by the people? Now these signals be first sounded by the department where the initial emergency occurs. That means if you have a multi-departmental production area, whichever department has sounded for emergency, only that particular department is responsible to give all clear signal. So verbal clear, all clear for certain areas can be given. If it is not, then you can go for this method. Then when all clear is sounded, then people have to go back to their work areas and all the permits that were cancelled will be again renewed before the work is resumed. This is very important that the permits has to be renewed before the work is started. So this is for on-site. So what is the summary of emergencies? There must be enough exit in the proper arrangement for the quick escape. Then exit routes must be clearly marked, lighted, free from obstruction, locks must not be used to impede or to prevent the
43.
escape. Now, in the emergency plan or the fire
అవును, దానికి
prevention plan
ఉంచకే
must
అని
be
చెప్పాను.
in place for
రేడియేషన్
all
సాల్వ్ చేసి
your activities.
ఒక్క మాట అన్నప్పుడు చేయలేడు.
Then coming to offsite. Now here I'll
ఫోన్ వదిలేసరా
show you a
లాస్ట్
short video of this. Can you hear the sound? Can you guys hear the audio of the video?
No, sir, it's not audible to us.
I guess it's not. I'll stop. No one is responding whether they are listening, they are having the audio or not. So I'll go to the
So
next
no-
slide.
No, sir, no audio.
Sir, no audio, sir.
Here.
So offsite emergencies. Now in previous session, we have seen the on-site emergencies. Now we'll go for the on-site emergencies. So how do you define offsite emergencies? If accident is such that it affects inside of the factory and is uncontrollable, that it may spread to the outside of the factory premises, then it is called as a offsite emergencies. Now for this also it is mandatory that you go for risk assessment. This is very important part of your offsite emergency plan. Now apart from that, the hazardous factories and their hazard has to be identified. Other hazardous prone areas and specific risk if exists has to be identified. Transportation risk, storage risk, pollution risk by air or water has to be assessed. Then catastrophic risk such as disaster from natural calamities, act of God, all these has to be assessed in the risk assessment. Now, how do you go for an offsite plan? You have to have a central control committee. Now, this central control committee as a offsite plan is to be prepared by the government. A central control committee shall be formed under the offsite emergency plans. So, the chairman of this control committee is your district collector. Now, apart from district collector, there are other departments who are involved, such as police, fire services, factory inspectorate, medical department. All these shall be the part of the central control committee. Now, apart from that, what is the importance of this central control committee? Now, this under the central control committees but that is constituted by the district collector, you'll have to have an incident and environmental control committees, fire control committee by the fire department, traffic control, then you have law and order, evacuation and rehabilitation committees, medical help and hospital committee. All these different types of committees are a part of this central control committee under the district collector. So now this offset emergency plan should be prepared by the district collector in consultation with our factory management and government agencies. Now the district authorities that has to be taken into consideration is the police department, revenue, fire brigade, municipality, medical department, and the local administration departments such as the Gram Panchayat. All these people have to be the part of this offsite emergency plan. Now, so what is the conclusion of this offset emergency plan? The main purpose is to carry out the mock drill rehearse for the offset plan. For what? The first thing is to check to ensure the efficiency of the plan, whether it's working or not. Then test the response of the response team and the people of different departments, including the nearby areas. Then interaction and coordination of various services. As we have seen, the fire service, the police, the medical services and all. So all these have to cooperate and coordinate. Then evaluate the effectiveness of this offset plan. Then see if adequacy of the equipment is present for that particular situations, whatever situations we are going for the mock drill. And the main reason is to gain experience and confidence to implement this particular plan at our site. Then the final thing is the finalized disaster plan shall be given to all the concerned person who are part of these teams. Like it may be government, it may be the district collector, the police department, the fire department, the medical, the Gram Panchayat and the revenue department, whoever are involved into these plans. So this is the end of these emergencies. If you have any question, you can type it or you can ask. So can you hear me, please?
Yes, sir, we can hear
Can
you,
you
sir.
hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So do you have any questions in this emergency plan? Next topic I'll take with the PPs. Here, some of you have written that the fire extinguisher 1 meter, 1.5 meters, and then 1 meter. Yeah, the maximum is 1.5 meter for 2 kilo, 4 kilo, it can be 750 mm depending upon the weight. If the more weight, the lesser the height it is. So you have any questions on this? Or I'll move to the next topic.
No questions,
తెలుగు
sir.
మీడియంలో ఉన్న వాళ్ళు దీంట్లో ఈ టాపిక్ లో ఏమైనా మీకు క్వశ్చన్స్ ఉన్నాయా?
Sir, you can proceed with the next topic, sir.
So PPE is a short form of personal protective equipment. Now in this session, we will see different types of PPEs, what are their properties, where to use, how to use, and other things that is required by the HSC department. So in this chapter, the course contained eye and face protection, hair protection, respiratory protection, head protection, hand and arm protection, foot and leg protection, body protection, and fall protection. So these are the parts of this PPE session that we are going into. Now PPEs can be divided into two categories. And these two categories are non-respiratory and respiratory. The non-respiratory, as it tells non-breathing except for the lungs. Whereas for the respiratory, it tells lungs protection or the breathing protection. So here, what are the properties of PPEs? Now, before
can you
HSC person orders
explain the
or
before
decide
point in
what is the
Telugu?
quality or which PPEs he should consider. Now, let us look into what are the properties of the PPEs. Now, the first property is any PPE should provide adequate protection against the hazard to which the worker is exposed. Now, the second property is wearing of this PPE should provide maximum comfort. It should not provide additional problem for the person who is wearing these PPEs or using these PPEs. Now, it should have, all the PPE should have minimum weight with good protective efficiency. Now, the fourth one is no restriction of essential movements. Now, say if a person is wearing your breathing apparatus or if he is using airline supply breathing system and his movements are restricted, if he cannot perform his job properly, then the use of such kind of PPEs is no use. Then durability and economical. That means the life of the PPE should be enough that company can afford, and it should be low cost. It should not be much expensive that the company will think twice or thrice before it purchases. Then all the PPE should have a property of easy maintenance. Complicated, special type of PPEs where special requirement or expertise is required. Such PPEs, I don't think company will allow us to purchase and use in the premises. Or short term, what the big companies do is they give the contract to some other parties who are well versed with such equipments. Then the PPE should have standard design, construction, and material. Material in the sense that, some plastic, if you are using, it gives a very bad odor. Such PPEs should be avoided, which are not having good quality of material. Then selection of PPEs. How do we select the PPEs? The first thing is to assess which kind of PPE we should use is to be decided by the nature of the hazard. Then what is the severity of the hazard? This you can get from the risk assessment. Then what is the type of the containment that you have? Because oxygen deficiency and oxygen rich environment, depending upon that, you need to decide which type of PPE you can use. Then concentration of the containment. This is very important factor, that if there is high concentration of containments, ordinary masks and other things will fail. So considering selecting a PPE should be such that you consider the concentration of the containment. Then what the period for which it is to be used. Like for example, if we have the SCABA or the breathing apparatus where you have a limited time of supply of air, say it can be somewhere from 30 minutes to 45 minutes. In such case, for short duration, for confined space areas, you should think of alternate methods where the person can have a continuous supply of air and he can carry his work for longer duration. Then obligation of employee, what the employee should have responsibility on his part for the supplied PPEs. Now, the first thing is he should check the PP is given regularly, maintain it correctly, use it correctly, store it correctly, and manage it properly. Now, at most of the construction sites, if you see, you have a behavior of the workforce that, if you have a new lot of PPs coming into the stores, they go and just get it issued. And if there is a new stock, they'll throw even PP is very good, they'll throw to get the new stock. So all such things has to be managed properly. Now, the first one, eye and face protection hazards. Now, the hazards can be flying particles. Now, these flying particles can have hard, sharp particles, hot particles when hot work is being done, such as grinding, welding, and burning, or gas cutting, you can say. Then dust particles when drilling, splash of liquid. This can be corrosive, harmful, or irritating. So other hazards of for eye and face protection can be infrared and UV rays. Then this can be generated from your what you call hot works such as welding. Then coming to the face protection types. So what are the eye and face protection types that we can use? Now, hazard to the eye include the chemical or the metal splash, dust, projectile gas, or vapor radiation. Now, the PPE option includes safety spectacles, goggles, face screen, face shield, or visor. Now, can anyone tell what is the difference between face safety spectacles and goggles? What is the difference? Safety goggles and safety spectacles, what is the difference? Can anyone guess?
Spectacle is the fully protected to the eyes, and the goggles is normal goggles for the we are using on daily use.
See, participants, please take part voluntarily. This is a open discussion, friendly discussion. There is nothing that it is to be taken serious. Just take it. Please take part in the discussions. If you don't have any doubt, then I'll go ahead. Make sure that the PPE you choose have the right combination of eye protection against the hazards of impact, dust, splash, or molten metal. Now, this is very important to select whether you go for safety spectacles or safety goggles or face screen, face shield, or visors. So this depends upon the type of the hazard that you have. Now, if you have a chemical splash, then you can go for goggles. Other for general eye protection, you can go for safety spectacles. If it is like grinding and other high projectile things, then you can go for a combination with spectacles and face shield. So depending upon the hazard that you have, you can take different types of PPEs. Now, you should be very clear that whatever your choice is, it should be appropriate to the task and the proper fit to the user. Now we'll see this fit test and other things in coming slide what it is. So it is mandatory that whoever uses the PPE, it fits him properly. Then types of face and eye protection, you have safety glasses, safety goggles, face masks, welding goggles, welding hoods, screen helmets, and mask. Now here you can see for eye protection. Now these are different types of eye protection over here. Now all these should meet the ANSI standard. So if you see your safety spectacles, on one of the legs of the spectacles, you have ANSI Z87 marked over there. So these spectacles has to meet the requirements of ANSI. Then hearing protection. Now, what are the hazards with related to your hearing protection? The main hazards are noise related deafness in long term, that is deafness. In short term, you have tinnitus. Other sounds become masked. Audibility becomes very difficult. So this is the reason why we use the ear protection. Now obligation is as from 80 dBA. The PPE for the ear protection has to be given by the employer. It is no, it should not be like 85 dB or 90 dB or 95 dB only. Then the employer should give. Nothing of that sort. The standard says that if the sound levels is 80 plus dBA, then earplug should be issued by the employer. As far as 85 dBA, it must be owned by the employee. So this is the normal standard for your hearing at the site. If it is more than 85 dBA, then you need to wear the hearing protection. Now this is the audiometer, how we measure the sound. So this is the instrument that we use to measure the sound. If it is more than 85 dBA, then PP, it is must that you should wear it. Now this is the chart showing the loudness of the sound of different types of situations. Now here if we see hair dryers and all, it has 90 dBA. Normal busy city traffic is 85 dBA. That is why we don't use much of the ear protection in traffics. Now different types of ear protection that you have. Now here this is called NRR, that is noise reducing reduction rating you should have. This is the ear plugs. Then if the sound is more than or equal to 105 decibel, then dual protection is required. Dual protection means both your ear plugs and ear muff both should be worn here. It is not single, either the ear plugs or the ear muff. If it is more than or equal to 105 dB, then ear plugs and in combination with ear muffs should be worn up. Now different types of you have your hearing protection. Then foam type of ear plugs you have, we have seen. This is the foam type of ear plugs. Then plugs you have, this is different types of plugs. Then universal plugs, here this you have the universal plugs and ear mufflers. Ear mufflers are just like your Sony sound whatever instrument that you use for the ears. Now the respiratory protection. What are the hazards of respiratory protections? Now there are two types of hazards you can see for respiratory groups. One, either the concentration of the oxygen can be low, or the concentration of oxygen can be very high, or the concentration of the contaminants such as vapor, gases or dust particles can be too high, or nuisance due to the vapor or gas particles can be also be very high. Now the two main types of PPEs that can be used is filter mask, that is for breathing with the filters, or self-contained. Self-contained is the clean air from external source. This is the difference between filter mask and self-contained. Filter mask is worn, but the only thing is you will be breathing the air with the filters. Now it does not guarantee 100% that the filtration takes place. But if we use a self-contained breathing apparatus, it gives assurance of 100% clean air from the external sources. So these are the two types of the main groups of breathing apparatus that is used. Now, what is RPE, respiratory protection equipment? Now, there are two types of RPE, that is respirators and breathing apparatus. So, for respiratory protecting equipment, RPE in short form, we have two types of protection. One is respirators and other is the breathing apparatus. Now respirators are just like your filtering devices used as filter to remove the contaminants from the air. Most of us are well versed with this. During Corona, we have used this type of filter devices. Now, these filtering devices can be again of two subtypes. One is your non-powered respirators and other is the powered respirators. So for non-powered respirators rely on the wearer's breathing capacity. Now this is your ordinary mask. The amount of breath withdrawn by a person, that much filtering capacity it has. Now for the powered respirators, it uses a motor to pass the air through a filter to give the air supply of a clean air. Now can anyone tell what is the class of minimum class of air, or what is the minimum class of air for breathing if you are giving from a powered respirators? Can anyone guess? What is the class? See, this we check when you have sandblasting. We definitely check the quality of air that is supplied by the compressor. It can be the sandblasting compressor directly, or it can be a different apparatus. Now, during that, a HSE person observes the quality of the air. Now, this can be through your gas detecting devices, or how do you, what is the minimum quality of air that you permit for a sandblasting person? Can anyone guess? See here, what we use is class D type. Class D type of air quality has to be maintained. See, 19.5 is the minimum oxygen requirement level, but the quality of air, what we say is class D. Now, this class D of air supply should have minimum of 19.5% of your oxygen. Plus, it should not have mist. It should not have any aerosol.